You do it again next week.
Oh, nice. Okay, so my brother.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to our Waipahū Neighborhood Board. I'd like to make you a few announcements before we begin. Let's see. Rules of speaking. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to raise their hand, and when recognized by me, to address your comments to the chair. Speakers are encouraged to keep their comments under 3 minutes, and those giving reports are urged to keep their reports under 3 minutes as well. Please silence all electronic devices at this time. Okay. As customary of the Waipahū Neighborhood Board, we'd like to start off with our introduction of the board members. I'd like to start with my board members to my right.
Hi, so Rachel Cristobal.
Aloha. Aloha, everyone. Dominic Bonifacio.
Chad Domingo.
Good evening, Maureen Andrade.
Good evening, Richard Oshiro.
Aloha and good evening, Nathan Chang.
Good evening, Jayton Chang.
Good evening. Thank you again for joining us, Daryl Macha.
Good evening, Terry Tumbaga.
Hi, Debbie Siegel.
Hi, Maurice Morita.
Good evening. My name is Richard Aspirin.
Good evening, Nainoa Molitor.
Aloha and good evening, John Pagan. Thank you for your attendance tonight.
Aloha, David Beers.
Aloha, Danny DeGracia.
Thank you, board members. Please, I ask that the audience, if you can sign in, we have a sheet. We'll also recognize you in our minutes. So please sign in when you have a chance. First off on our agenda is the Honolulu Fire Department. Is Honolulu Fire Department present? Looks like they're not here right now. We'll move on to the Honolulu Police Department.
Aloha. My name is Keone Hong. I'm a lieutenant with the Honolulu Police Department, working out of District 3. Going over the stats for September 2025. Motor vehicle thefts, there were 7 compared to 10 in August. Burglaries, 10 compared to 6. Thefts, 36 compared to 50. And car break-ins, there were 9 in September and 9 in August. Calls for service in this area for September was 2,133 compared to August, which was 2,405. I just wanted to share a message from Chief Vanek that he posted. From January through October 2025, HPD is reporting a 20% increase in assaults on officers compared with the same time period in 2024. The safety of our officers is a priority for the Honolulu Police Department. The rise in assaults on officers is deeply concerning. Most of the assaults occur during routine responses such as domestic incidents, intoxication, and mental health related calls. Officer assaults are also a reminder of why members of the public may see multiple officers involved in an arrest. It is safer for officers to work together, especially when dealing with combative individuals. Lastly, the department remains committed to transparency and accountability and to keeping the public informed with accurate and balanced information, Vanek said. I also commend the men and women of HPD who put their lives on the line every day to keep our community safe. I wanted to highlight one of the incidents. We had a few actually assault on police officers in September and October, but one of the incidents I'll highlight is in September. So on September 2nd, 2025, around 11:50 hours, Officer Perry responded to the area of Leo Leo and Leo Nui Street of a male walking around with a knife. Upon her arrival, she located the male and ordered him to drop the knife, which he complied. However, he continued to aggressively walk toward her, swinging both of his hands in closed fists. One of his strikes landed on Officer Perry's arm, causing her pain, swelling, and bruising. However, she was able to retreat, deploy her taser, which was effective, handcuff the male, and place him under arrest for assault on a law enforcement officer in the first degree, which is a felony. The male was ultimately charged with a $15,000 bail. And in this incident, because they were busy, she was the lone officer on scene, but she was able to effectively handle the situation. The knife as well was like a 9-inch kitchen knife. So had officers not responded, who knows if he would have hurt a member of the public. So just wanted to bring that up. Otherwise, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Do I have any questions for HPD from our board members to my right? Any questions from the board members from my left? Any questions from our audience to Honolulu Police Department? Thank you, Lieutenant, for your report.
Thank you.
Yes. Moving on, our military report, the U.S. Army 599th Transportation Brigade. Welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. I am Air Force Major Ryan Abella with the 599th Transportation Brigade out of Wheeler. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and to deliver the military report from U.S. Army Hawaii. Training advisory. U.S. Army Garrison publishes a monthly Army training advisory. Details as follows. So from October 20th to October 31st, the Army will conduct training in the East Range area daily between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Activities include Ranger and jungle tactics, small arms blank fire, and aviation exercises. Additionally, tomorrow marks the final day of artillery, mortar, and demolitions training at Schofield Barracks, which will involve live fire exercises both day and night, including late evening and early morning hours. To receive future training advisories, please email usag.hawaii.comrail@army.mil. Next topic is the training brief on the Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Center, JPMRC. The 25th Infantry Division will be conducting its annual Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Center training exercise between November 7th and November 16th. Please note that traffic and noise levels are expected to rise in the weeks before and after the exercise. Residents may also observe more frequent military aircraft activity, including low-flying helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft operating in and out of Wheeler Army Airfield. Other military training locations will be primarily at Kahuku Training Area, Dillingham Airfield, Hoailoa Training Area, East Range, and Schofield Barracks. However, residents will still see troops traveling to and from the training areas. And finally, the Veterans Day Parade. The 79th Annual Wahiawa Lions Veterans Day Parade will take place on November 11th. The parade will begin at 10 a.m. from Wahiawa District Park and end at 2 p.m. at Ka'ala Elementary School. Come out and show your support for our veterans. Your presence makes a difference. Pending your questions, that concludes this month's report.
Thank you, Major. Do I have any questions for Major Abella for the military report from my board members? To my right? Any questions from my board members from my left? No questions. Thank you so much, Major. Welcome to Waipahū Neighborhood Board, and we look forward to having you come report monthly.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to board business. We do have a board vacancy for a at-large seat. Do I have any residents interested in filling this vacant board seat? Please, please approach the podium, state your name.
Aloha. Tam Plong. Exciting over here in celebrations up the road. Would love to join the team, be a part of the community.
Thank you, Tom. Good to see you. Do we have any questions from the board members? Questions from the board members? Audience, just for your knowledge, Mr. Tomplong served on this neighborhood board prior to the new board coming in. So do I have a motion to accept Mr. Tomplong as a member to fill the vacancy? Oh, nomination, excuse me. I do have a nomination. Do I have a nomination, please?
I nominate Tom.
Okay. It's been, Mr. Tomplong has been nominated and seconded. Do I have any questions, further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor of Mr. Tomplong joining our board, fill our at-large seat, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. You're accepted to our board. Thank you, sir, for your service.
Thank you.
I'm going to call a short recess so we can swear him in. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Welcome again, Mr. Tomplong. Next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes for our Thursday, September 25th meeting. Board members, I hope you had a chance to review the meeting minutes as distributed. Do I hear any? Do I have any corrections to the meeting minutes? Any corrections? Hearing none. No motion is needed to adopt the minutes. Thank you. Okay, moving right along into our resident and community concerns. Okay. I'll start off with our board members. Any resident and community concerns to my board members? Go ahead, board member Andrade.
Okay, I see Mr. Babcock here. So hi, how are you? I just wanted to, I guess there was a riser that went to, I think it's facility maintenance and you folks, because it's the drainage, you know, the water drainage in the communities. Part of it is I know the city because in Village Park, there's a lot of them that are cracking. So rebars are showing now. And that was brought up. I already spoke to, Kelly. But it's people who are they're pouring like old oil into the drainage. And so a lot of it is on the Upper Kupuna Loop in Village Park. A lot of the homeless have been removing engine parts and dumping things into your storage area. And it was reported to us at Village Park. So we try to have them move. But what they do is they move into the park and ride. So I don't know how you folks can correct that, but you can see the oil stains on the road and sometimes the cans and the plastic bottles that they leave on the side. Thank you.
Thank you, board member. Any other resident concerns from my board members to my right? Go ahead, board member Dominic.
Sorry, hi, aloha. I believe this was brought up last meeting as well, but I just wanted to follow up with Representative Chun about it. I believe I left it with your intern, Corey, about emergency sirens in the district where I live in, near across by Waipahū on Lumikula Street at the very end of it by the cul-de-sac.
Is it okay, board member, if he provide that in during his report?
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And then another issue was frequent power outages in the area as well. I think you're probably aware of it, so but we'll talk about it later, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, board member. Do you have any? Go ahead, board member DeGracia.
Thank you, Chair. Not sure if this is appropriate, but just wanted to add a reminder for a future neighborhood board session. We still need to appoint a replacement for the OMPO Citizens Advisory Committee.
Thank you, board member DeGracia. My understanding is the OMPO also removed our representative from their website or their domain. So we can discuss that further in another meeting, I guess. Thank you. Any further concerns? Go ahead, board member.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was brought to my attention at the beginning of this week. I found out from the news, from Hawaii News Now, that there's going to be closures on Cap Highway this weekend. Saturday into Sunday, there's going to be road closure going northbound. Apparently there's going to be, I guess, my understanding, painting a mural on top, on the side of the road. It seems like going to be students from Pro City, Mililani, Waipahū. Some people was considering or concerned with traffic in that area because of, I guess they're closing off the street on Au'au Street at Kamehameha Highway, detouring people onto Lumi'aina Street. Many concerns is with the bus stops on Kamehameha Highway. What information is given to the community in that area?
Thank you, board member. I too did not receive that notice, or it was not provided to us here at the neighborhood board. I guess we can try to follow up with city. Was that a city state? Got it. I don't see our state representative here to get any answers, unfortunately. Well, from the governor's office, excuse me. But hopefully we can get answers. Unfortunately, that's already happening this weekend. I understand. Thank you for making us aware. Any other resident concerns, board members? I do have a couple concerns that was brought to my attention by a constituent. I would like to read a statement. And we have this citizen individual who requested to be on our WebEx platform, but she did provide me with a statement that I'm going to go ahead and read. Aloha, Chair and members of the Waipahū Neighborhood Board. I'm writing to bring to your attention an ongoing issue at Waipahū Neighborhood Park that has concerned families in our communities. The slide at the park's playground has been missing for a year now, leaving a significant gap in the play equipment available to many keiki who use the park daily. Over the past year, I have been in contact with Councilmember Okimoto's office and Mr. Crowell, Park Grounds Improvement Supervisor. I understand that the delay in repairing the slide was initially due to shipping issues, while I have been informed that The replacement slide has now arrived. Installation is currently stalled due to missing hardware components needed to complete the project. I respectfully ask the Waipahū Neighborhood Board for any support you may be able to provide in helping expedite the installation process, whether through facilitating communication with the appropriate departments or assisting in acquiring the necessary parts. Any effort to help move this forward would be deeply appreciated by the community. Our Kiki have been without a key piece of play equipment for a significant period. As a parent and community member, I see daily how much children miss having access to full playground. Your help could make a meaningful difference. In addition, to ensure full community participation and equity, I am formally requesting that the board provide necessary accommodations for disabled members of our community. Key part of this would be appointing a designated direct contact to receive comments or concerns and ensure they are formally presented during board meetings in accordance with the principles of the Americans with Disabilities Act. This measure would help ensure access and representation while efforts to implement a virtual participation option are ongoing. Mahalo for your time and your continued advocacy on behalf of Waipahū residents. So I believe Shaylin is on the WebEx platform this evening. Board members, did you have any questions? Or actually, I know Council Member Okimoto has already been notified and working with this individual in regards to the slide. Do you want to provide comment? Okay. Thank you, Council Member. Okay. Shaylin, I know you're on the WebEx platform. Did you want to provide any commentary, summary?
Hi, no comments. It is the Waipahū neighborhood park. Sorry, not the Waipahū neighborhood park, but I
Excuse me,
appreciate your
Waipahū.
time and support.
Thank you. Thank you. I did also receive another resident concern, and this was in regards to the Kane Hall Road. Individual member of our community requested to seek guidance on how to help him with an ongoing, ongoing issue with fire that's happening in the back of his home. Unfortunately, the Kane Hall Road is a private road. So I know we had put him in touch with Councilmember Augie Toba's office. Thank you, Councilmember. And they've been trying to work out a solution. Okay. Do I have any resident or community concerns from our audience? Go ahead, sir. Please come to the podium.
Thank you and good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for letting me speak here tonight. I wanted to express an issue that has been.
Sorry, please.
Oh, my name is Brandon Sugiura. I live in the Waipahū Gentry area. I've been living there since I was 7 years of age. And I been living in the district, and we've been seeing things being developing, and we're seeing our district being grown, especially with Quad Ridge being in the second phase. But that's not the main concern that I'm here speaking to here. I wanted to speak to you guys about our bus services that's running through Waipahū Gentry, and that's the 433. I know the 433 has been running 6 days a week from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And my main concern basically is that, is there any talks or any future that it's going to be running on Sundays? Because I know a lot of times the skyline has been brought up a lot lately, and with the third phase being in completion, slated to be executed in 2031, and people are encouraging to ride the skyline. I was kind of wondering if they can add Waipahū Gentry on Sunday because it's kind of a bank day, I would say, because you have a lot of churches over there, especially with a lot of denominations. And although the fact that the churches do have their own independent transportation in terms of transporting a lot of people, I was kind of thinking having a city bus as an alternative avenue. And it also lessens the confusion of the senior citizens in our community because some of the buses, especially on holidays, they don't run on their regular weekday schedules. So if I were to take Christmas, for example, or which runs on a Sunday schedule, people will get confused because they will go late over their families and so forth. But furthermore, they're just going to be standing there as a stranded passenger and thinking that if we keep telling them it runs on a Sunday schedule, they're still not going to click. So I was kind of wondering if I've already talked with OTS, I've already talked with the bus company, I've already talked with the Chica's office, and I've already addressed it with many other constituents affiliated with it. So I wanted to know if there is a possibility that in the near future, we're going to be starting to see Sunday have the 433 run into Waipahū Gentry, possibly extend the service to other districts as well, because it is technically a shuttle, but it also connects us to the skyline at Waipahū Transit as a terminus point. So I just wanted to bring that up and see where your stance is at that point is.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that concern. Okay, do I hear any other resident concerns from our audience? All right. Going to move on. Tonight we have several presentations, so we'd like to start off first with our presentation on the redevelopment of the former Walgreens site here in Waipahū. MW Group, go ahead.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board and community here tonight. My name is Patrick Seguran, and I'm the agent for MW Group, and we'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present our project tonight. Next slide. Thank you. I'd like to also introduce other members of the team who are with us tonight, and that would be Daniel Cody, Chief Investment Officer of MW Group, Royun Sun, Vice President of Development, Sean Salvador, Executive Vice President, Hawaii Self Storage, and Matt Nakamoto, Vice President and Chief Transportation Engineer of Austin Tsutsumi Associates. So MW Group Limited is proposing to develop a new self-storage and car wash facility in the Waipahū area at the former Walgreens location. These uses will support existing and future residential, commercial, and industrial growth in the area. We hope the project serves as a catalyst for investment and redevelopment near rail stations and expect it to bring jobs and tax revenue to the county. Next slide, please. So MW Group is the developer, and they have developed the Plaza Assisted Living. It's Hawaii's largest assisted living provider, offering rental and care options to middle-income families across 6 locations on Oahu. They've also created and operate Hawaii Self Storage, locally owned, locally operated, with 7 locations, 11,000 storage units, and over 740,000 square feet of storage. They're also deeply involved in the communities that they're located in by donating to local charities and nonprofits, schools and athletes, and college scholarships for over 20 years. So the project is a self-storage facility as well as a car wash facility. And it is located in a TOD special district because it's near the transit station. And so we think the project satisfies several TOD objectives by concentrating development near commercial center and enhancing pedestrian experience along Farrington Highway and Leo Nui Street. As you know, the property stretches from Farrington Highway to Leo Nui Street. It's within a quarter mile of the West Lock Park Station, and we think it's going to cater to residential, commercial, and industrial communities. The chart we have on the screen highlights the distribution of area on the project, and the parts that I really would like to point out is that new retail is being introduced on Leo Nui Street, and retail is being introduced along Farrington Highway. I'll get into that a little bit more, but the total area being developed is a little over 156,500 square feet. Next, please. So the property is located between Cutter Maslow, Waipahū, and O'Reilly Auto Parts, which is opposite of the drainage canal. The property is 90,000 square feet and it's zoned BMX3. It's less than a quarter mile from Ho'a'e'ae transit station. So the slide on the left shows the relationship of the property to the transit station. That circle is the quarter mile radius, and access from the property to the transit station is along Farrington Highway sidewalk, the side street, which is an easement serving the properties along that corridor, and Leo Nui Street itself. So there's several different access ways, and the aerial to the right shows the transit station in the background. So this is a site plan that shows Farrington Highway on the top, Leo Nui Street on the bottom, and the site has several constraints. It has, as well as several properties along that corridor because of the limited access along and to Farrington Highway. So there is an access easement that provides access along that private road serving the properties. There is a landscape easement that is intended to act as a beautifier or a screening element for the internal roadway. And it's also next to the drainage canal. And the drainage canal has a slope to it from Mauka to Makai. The property slopes downward towards Leo Nui Street. So it has those constraints that the development team has had to work with. But I'd like to point out several key elements of what the project is doing for the streets and the community itself. First is that you may be familiar that there are key streets identified in TOD areas. So this project is identifying Leo Nui Street as a key street. And as a part of that, they are providing frontage improvements, which includes street trees, seating, sidewalk, and landscaping. And frontage improvements also along Farrington Highway, not directly on Farrington Highway, but along that private street or the easement along Farrington Highway, because right now there is no real accommodation for pedestrians there. So we believe that enhancing the lateral access to the transit station is an important part of contributing to transit access. So both on Farrington and Leo Nui Street, we wanted to enhance the access to the transit station. Along with that, there'll be bike stations, as well as bench seating and a sidewalk that connects the property to Farrington Highway. Oh, yeah. Can you go back, please? The other important aspect are incubator spaces, incubator retail spaces, and we call that incubator space because it's intended to give storage unit owners, renters, the opportunity to have a retail space close by. So they may be starting a business
not wanting to have a big commitment on a large retail space. So this is a way of encouraging them to break out, try new spaces, and have their primary storage close by. And we also hope that this will serve as a way to activate some of the streets as well. And then, of course, landscaping. There will be new landscaping with street trees, shrubbery, and hedges along both sides of the project as well as the drainage canal. And that's shown in the landscape plan. So the ground level plan on the left shows the incubator space along Leonui Street. It's shown as a separate plan because there is a grade difference. So this is actually sort of a basement level as compared to the level along Farrington Highway. But on Farrington Highway as well, there's an incubator space which will serve a retail function. All loading and parking will be internal and will meet the code requirement, except as I'll explain later. The upper floors are very similar in nature, so the second, third, and fourth levels are all similar in terms of storage layout. This is a top elevation is the Mauka elevation facing Farrington. So the storage component is on the left and the car wash facility is on the right. The car wash facility is still being designed, but in terms of volume and height, the final proposal is going to be similar to the volume that we're showing now. Next, please. And the upper elevation is the elevation along Leonui Street, which you can see the storefront windows for the incubator spaces being shown there. And then the next slide shows the building sections. So the building is 57 feet and is less than the maximum base height elevation of 60 feet for the property. So no special exceptions are being sought for height or transitional height limit. And the next slide shows a volumetric study for both the car wash component and the storage component of the project. Next slide. And a little bit about the car wash facility. You probably have experience with car wash facilities in the area. The facility can manage over 1,000 cars daily, and the tunnel can process approximately 160 vehicles per hour. It's got a 145-foot tunnel. It'll be spacious and will have approximately 30 vacuum stations. It will be an eco-conscious design in that it'll recycle water. And queuing on site will be enough for 32 vehicles within the property. And if there is an event where there might be spillover, there will be a traffic manager on site, maintain order and ensure smooth traffic flow. The hours of operation for the car wash facility would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Next slide. Oh, thank you. So as part of the permitting system, it will be a major TOD permit. And there are some exceptions. We are asking the city to enable the building due to some of the difficult site constraints, which include the drainage canal, the grade condition, and the easements that I mentioned earlier. So one exemption is from the width of the required street facade. There's a percentage that's required for the total width of the property, but due to the grade differential on the canal side, that's not that buildable. We're asking for an exception to not have to build in that area. There's also a maximum yard component along Farrington Highway, but because of the landscape easement and the vehicular easement, we cannot comply with that maximum setback, which is 15 feet from Barrington Highway. So we're asking for an exemption from that also. And also being a storage facility, there are fairly common storage trucks that transfer and that are used for moving. So we're asking for the large loading stall to be equivalent to what is normally used at the storage facility. No exceptions are being asked to increase density. No exceptions are being asked to exceed height limit. And the TOD policies that we think we're supporting is that we are concentrating development near the West Lock Station and providing retail opportunities along the streets. We think we're going to play a supportive role to housing, commercial, and industrial communities. We'll expand the use opportunities for transportation by providing subsidized employee transit passes and bicycle parking. We'll enhance the pedestrian access along the frontage streets, both Barrington Highway and Leonui. We'll introduce new commercial retail opportunities to start up businesses along both streets. And we'll create new permanent jobs in Waipahū, with the car wash adding approximately 12 full-time and/or part-time positions, and the self-storage adding 2 full-time positions, plus perhaps a few other part-time positions. So altogether, the project will create about 15 new employment opportunities. So being in a TOD, a major special district permit is required. We did present the project to Councilmember Tolba to obtain his feedback. Presenting here to the neighborhood board is also part of the requirement for submitting a special district permit application. And a major permit that is to be decided by the director of the Department of Planning and Permitting is what we're going to be submitting in about a month or so after we get the minutes of the neighborhood board meeting. Once the application for the TOD permit is accepted, there will be another opportunity for public comment and review, which will be the public hearing during the DPP process. And notices will be sent out to the public as part of that process, as well as signs being posted to notify the public of when the public hearing will be. We're also conducting several supporting analysis to cover traffic, infrastructure, soil conditions, noise, and historic resources before we can submit the actual application. So in summary, we think that the project will support transit ridership and transit riders by adding amenities. The project will be supportive of the neighborhood board as it goes through transit-oriented changes. New retail spaces will create more active frontage that engages public and enhances street life. Safe sidewalks and pedestrian connections will improve walkability and community accessibility to the transit and commercial area. Improved landscaping and drainage will improve stormwater management and continue to contribute to environmental protection and site aesthetics. Washing a car at this facility will save more water and be more eco-friendly than washing a car from home on a per car basis. Sound and light shielding techniques will be employed to control nuisance for noise and lighting. And Hawaii Self-Storage would be proud to be part of the Waipahū community and looks forward to serving it for many years. Well, thank you. That's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Cigarette. Do I have any questions from our board members? To my right. Any questions? Go ahead, board member Oshiro.
Did MW Group make the recommendation to develop this facility, or did the owners? And the other related question is, the Walgreen building, is that coming down? You're going to destroy that and then build this new storage facility?
So I can answer the second part of that. So all of the Walgreens site would be demolished, including the building, parking, and a whole new site would be rebuilt. To your other question about what else was considered, was your question? I'll perhaps defer to Royan. Maybe she can come up.
Sure. What was the first question? Could you repeat it?
Question was, uh, in developing this project, did the developer or whoever owns a property look at what other possibilities there might have been for that property since Walgreen left?
Yeah, we actually did. We did like a study and then we look at other retail components. And then we find out actually the self-storage and the automatic car wash is probably gonna be more the community gonna need. And then it's not really like, don't need any other more retail component. We also provide the retail incubator space within the hallway self-storage, which is like a stepping stone for entrepreneur to explore different business ideas and then create a more dynamic and a more resilient economy. Does that answer your question?
Okay, because the only reason I asked that question is because in your summary of this project, I mean, I take it people in Hawaii have a lot of stuff to store, so there's probably a demand. If not, you wouldn't build that. But in looking at TOD, for one of the things everybody talked about is housing and employment. But for this project, what this proposal does is it creates jobs. And you say it's going to create a dozen jobs at the car wash, which I think will be minimum wage jobs, and 2 jobs for the whole storage facility, maybe some part-time jobs as well. So does that sound like, these are really great jobs? They're jobs, but, it's on the lower end of the scale. So that's why I asked the question, what other kinds of projects you may have looked at in terms of developing that property?
Okay, now I got it. We have a lot of experience developing senior housing project through my other platform, Plaza Assisted Living, which is the largest senior care facility to provide cares for the seniors. We did look at the site, however, this site is not well suited for the housing project due to its location. It's located like fronting the Fronton Highway, and also the surrounding use are like light industry and commercial. And then for the senior housing project to really thrive, it need to be nearby or in a established like a residential community, which can provide easy access for seniors, to the nearby amenities or community park and so forth. By providing and developing this Hawaii self-storage and automatic car wash, we are gonna investing tens of millions of dollars, which also gonna stimulate the economy and also providing jobs also during the construction period, as well as provide tax benefits. And also, as you mentioned, like 15 jobs. And hopefully that's a win-win situation for the entire community.
Thank you. Any further questions, board members? Board members to my left. Go ahead, Board Member Plong.
Aloha. In regards to landscaping, love the idea, but in landscaping, is there a consideration of planting trees and shrubs that are also edible, consumable, so that way it's multifunctional, not only aesthetics, but also feeding our people here in our communities?
That's a great question. So as for now, we're trying to provide zero-scape landscaping, which is using like a more native plants. So we can use less water resource and other and reduce the waste. But that's a really good idea. We will definitely bring back to our landscape team and consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, board members? Hearing none. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to move along. We have several, again, as I mentioned, presentations this evening. Next on our agenda is the Honu our homeless outreach and navigation for the unsheltered.
Chair, Neighborhood Board 22, thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Roy Mayhew. I'm the Director of Homeless Solutions at the City and County of Honolulu. I'm in the Department of Community Services. I'm flanked by our manager of the Honolulu, Ms. Melanie Asun, who is really the subject matter expert, being on the ground every day with that team in the old stadium and prior areas of Honolulu. My presentation about Honolulu, most folks probably have heard about Honolulu. It's homeless outreach, right? And navigation within shelter. It's more of a triage type of program that we have at the city. But I think it's now more of the featured program that we have because it aligns with our strategy. Our strategy to get folks off the street, those who are experiencing homelessness, getting them off the streets and embracing the system. Now, that's probably one of the most difficult situations that we have. One of the more difficult situations that we have in engaging and encountering homelessness, folks who want to be helped. The second part is once you have that type of engagement is building resources, available resources, building specific types of beds and needs and supply for those needs of those folks who are suffering homelessness. So Honolulu is a program that's more of an emergency shelter in HUD vernacular, but in our terms, it's just more of a shelter. I'm gonna go through about a 10, 15 page slide. I won't be reading every word, might be paraphrasing some of the slides. Hope I can read it from here. Some of the background is it's one of the Ohana zone through the state. Started in 2019, right here in Waipahū, and has recently been the old Stadium Park right now through October into the middle of November. They continue to rotate through the multiple locations. Oahu, you'll see where we have been since 2019 because they move about every 120 to 150 days to support the areas that are really suffering on our end. Here are those areas starting from 2019, and you're going to see some of those areas we're going to visit twice and maybe 3 times because we understand that we're building, number one, more facilities in those areas to take care of those folks who move from the streets to Honolulu to the next facility. So as you're going to see, some of this repeats, it's only because we're building more around that for those who are in that bad state. This is more what the program looks like. Again, if folks who are not familiar with it, it's more of tents, large tents that the military had that we've kind of copycatted, where we have stalls. They could have tents in there, but they have at least 8 stalls per tent. At one point when we first started, it housed about 30 people. At the most, it was separated by single families, I should say single men, single females, families, and couples. We started to expand in the recent months. We've gone to upwards of the 80 people in these locations. Right now, we're at 78 in the old stadium. Back when we first started in 2019, we were at 30. So we're seeing how it's becoming a lot more popular with the folks, doing a better job of outreaching with our outreach partners in IHS and our Work Hawaii team in getting folks into these type of shelters. Again, more photos, you can go back one more. Adele. It does show again the tents, but also shows some of the program services that we offer. It's just not a place to stabilize and think about where you are in life before you move on to the next spot. It also has a hygiene trailer where you can freshen up every day. We offer 3 meals a day. Again, we offer more outreach services, case management, not only from our team, but also from our IHS team, really to get you to the next spot. These are the numbers from the old stadium, the time that we've been there. It's an average about almost 3.5 people per day that we intake. Again, folks who are just coming off the street, and it could be from anywhere. We've had people as far as Waianae, picked up in Waianae and driven to the old stadium versus those who are just right off the street in Waikiki or in the Diamond Head area. Before you go, to the left, you're going to see how many people were placed, not in permanent housing, but have gone to the next level of, I'll call it just indoor type of solutions. It could be anything from reuniting with your family to going to the next step of shelter to maybe sometimes back to the mainland. We're going to be offering you a trip back home. So here's a breakdown of those folks who've been going to the next level. I normally like to focus on the permanent housing piece, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the folks who have come to the mainland. Now, it's very difficult in this state to know that we're trying to service those who are locally born here. We totally understand that we're a tourism state. It's one of our industries, but we're having a lot of folks coming from the mainland. Rightly so, it's a beautiful state to live in. Our services are terrific. The people embrace those who come from the mainland, yet we're feeling like we're becoming overrun in some of these districts, like Waikiki, where folks come homeless, come jobless to these type of areas. That's a very difficult situation that we're in right now, but we're trying to figure it out really with our state partners. This is our Waipahū Cultural Gardens. Again, you'll see even in a short time period, we average almost 4 people per day coming in here. And again, you're seeing the placements up to about 50% going to the next level of indoor solutions. More of a breakdown. Again, you'll see what I love about being in some of these more community-oriented type of locations is families are taking folks back in. The stabilization process in Oahu, surrounded by, I would say, case management and other type of services, sometimes lasts as long as 3 weeks. But we've gotten to the point where we're seeing people exiting our system after about 9.5 days. Again, once you come into Honu, it's a voluntary situation. There are going to be some questions asked of you to understand that you have to be motivated to move to the next step. And that is the next step of an indoor type of solution. That's the reason why I believe we do a very good job of vetting folks when they come here. Therefore, you have a good percentage of people moving to the next level. It's a big number. After 6 years, we've kind of run our course at the old stadium, and we want to push these benefits to the next neighborhood. We've had a few in mind. We do want to do a repeat in places like the west side. We feel that there's a huge need. Some of our areas in Waipahū, some of our areas even further west, up in the Nanakuli and a Waianae area. We've done a lot of work in the urban core, but we feel right now that our data tells us we should go a little bit more west. This is just a photo of the folks that you could see there. Again, our employees are always embracing these folks who are coming off the street. They show a lot of empathy, but they show a lot of grit in trying to help these folks understand that there is a place for them after the streets. My discussion with you tonight is not an appeal for us to be in Waipahū. I think we go where the data takes us. Waipahū is one spot that we've looked at specifically. We looked at the area near the plantation village. We've had some discussions with our state representatives, with some of our board members here, with a lot of our state partners, a lot of outreach to the businesses. We feel it's a good spot, but we also feel that there's another area in Waianae that we can visit too. Right now, we're trying to discuss where we should go, but that won't happen until maybe like mid-November. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you for returning and providing us an update on your report. I know it's been many years since you have come to our neighborhood board. Appreciate your efforts. I thought it was timely because in our recent meetings, we did have some issues brought up by our constituents. And it was just timely that you were going to report back to us and you're moving back into Waipahū. But I thought it was essential for our new board members to understand the program as well. So thank you for presenting. Do I have any questions from our board members to my left? Go ahead, Board Member DeGracia.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I wanted to ask, your existing facilities, do they ever take visits, for example, from community health workers to serve as like a health connector for the homeless people there, or, excuse me, the houseless people there, or to perform basic wellness visits? Or is that something that you think that you might benefit from?
That's a good question, and we have. We use Jabson's been pretty she's active, not only in our parks, but coming to Honu with the old stadium and being at Kapolei. That is the home project that's university has its interns that I would say practice, but user skills to help those. They're probably more the elementary type of aids, medical aids to them. We do have, again, IHS spends a lot of time with us. Our city and county, I would call them more of our homeless arm on the street is CORE, the crisis outreach team. I'd call them more of a fighting unit out there for us because they have at least 5 to 7 vehicles with almost 30 people who are on the street every day. They're not only performing or providing medical treatment, but also doing a lot of outreach and bringing people to Honu and to our IHS facilities. So Honu has a lot of folks coming through there, but we're welcoming anyone who wants to help.
Any further questions, board members to my left? Board members to my right? Board member Cheryl?
To what extent is public housing available for homeless?
Can you say that one more time?
To what extent is public housing available, the type of public housing that's developed by Hawaii Housing Authority?
Honu is, again, more of a shelter.
I understand that.
City
So
program as
to transition to more permanent housing, to what extent is public housing available?
I wouldn't know how far you have to go before you go to public housing, but I know our team or Work Hawaii can answer that question for you. I'll take that back as a question that could be answered by
The
that.
reason I ask that is my understanding is that the state has not developed public housing in, I don't know, years. So I would think that the people that already live in public housing are there, so there's not enough of a turnover. So, you know, if it's all full, then there's no place that you can place folks in public housing. We often hear about affordable housing, but that's different. You got to pay rent for affordable housing, and the rents are very high for a lot of people.
I would agree with you that there's a lack of inventory at all levels, whether it's public housing, affordable housing, it's pretty much across the board. But I could ask again my state partners as well as to how they can answer that question.
Thank you. Any further questions, board members to my right? Hearing none. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
Final last presentation for this evening, Waipahū Walkways Project. Kayla? Yes, thank you. Department of Transportation Services, Complete Streets.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Kaylin Bubuloff. I'm a planner on the Complete Streets team at the City and County of Honolulu's Department of Transportation Services. And I'm here tonight to talk about our Waipahū Walkways project. First, I'll kind of give an overview about what Complete Streets are and why we do this work. So Complete Streets is a roadway design approach that provides safe facilities for people of all ages and abilities, whether they're walking, using a wheelchair, on a bike, riding transit, or in a car. And this is kind of a generic image of what Complete Streets can look like in more of a commercial or urban setting. But there's not one size fits all. They can look very different depending on the context of the street. But in this image, you can see that there's enough dedicated space for vehicles as well as people on bikes. There's space for people walking. for trees to grow, for our utilities, for parking and loading, as well as commercial zones for businesses to welcome their customers. Honolulu actually has a complete streets law that was passed back in 2012. Basically, it says that we must consider complete streets every time the city touches a transportation facility, whether it's a large-scale construction project or a smaller-scale maintenance project. And some of the reasons why we do this work is for these design principles below. So whether it's for health and safety, the equity of the neighborhood, affordability, and for the environmental and sustainability aspects. So for our Waipahū project overview, to give a little bit of background, the city's Complete Streets office developed a new program to design and construct high priority walkways recommended in our Oahu pedestrian plan, which was adopted in 2022. Phase 1 of the program includes projects in 6 different areas, and you can, thank you, across the island, including Waianae, Kalihi, Wahiwa, Waipahū, Makali Mo'iliili, and Kapahulu. And these 6 different areas, the streets within these projects were selected because they ranked highest priority due to their proximity to schools, because of their crash history, their access to major bus routes, connectivity to major streets, parks, and other neighborhood destinations too. We know that there's tremendous need and demand for better sidewalks on Oahu, but there has never been dedicated funding. So we're excited to have established federal funding for this program and work with you all to install this important pedestrian infrastructure that's been needed for so long. And so the purpose of the project is to improve pedestrian safety and accessibility along 2 streets in Waipahū. Waipahū Street between Leo Wahine and Puhale Road, and Honowai Street from Waipahū Street to Ho'ai'ai Street. These improvements will benefit residents' walkability as well as enhance safety for students of Waipahū Elementary School and Honowai Elementary School, which have a combined enrollment of about 1,400 students in total. These project streets also accommodate 11 bus stops, hosting 135 bus trips per day. And when we collected bus ridership data, we saw that there are around 530 boardings and alightings at these 11 stops. So there's a lot of use and not necessarily the pedestrian infrastructure for people to get to and from the bus stops. So now we'll look at safety concerns in the areas, starting with our crash data. Between 2015 and 2022, there were a total of 34 crashes. And there were 5 pedestrian, 2 motorcycle or moped, and 1 bike crash. Of those 34 crashes, all 8 of the pedestrian, motorcycle, and bicycle crashes resulted in injury. So it is disproportionate, the number of vulnerable road users that experience an injury when they are involved in a crash, and that's something we need to focus on. In the crash map, we can see the density of crashes and that they are mainly at intersections in our project area. A couple major ones are Waipahū Street and Waikele Road, close to Waipahū Elementary School, as well as Waipahū Street and Honowai Street as well. Other safety concerns are the missing sidewalks, especially near schools and bus stops, as I mentioned, as well as uneven and disconnected asphalt paths that can cause trip hazards. There are cars parked on the sidewalk or the unimproved sidewalk and in the shoulder, which forces pedestrians out into the street to go around, making it unsafe. There are uncontrolled crosswalks in the area as well. They can often be unsafe and inaccessible because of speeding cars, low visibility, and a lack of traffic control devices at them. We've also heard from some community members that they feel unsafe traveling in the area at night because of how dark it is and the low street lighting. And so we need safe and accessible routes for people of all ages and abilities using all modes of transportation. And we do need to balance everyone's needs. There are some streets where we have the width to fit dedicated space for all modes, but there's also some more constrained areas where we'll need to make decisions and there will have to be some trade-offs too. So now I'm going to go through some of the tools that we're considering using as part of this project to make the streets safer and more comfortable for everyone. And the primary goal of the project is to install sidewalks, and we're looking at a few different variations of these. Some at-grade sidewalks, so these are sidewalks that are at the same elevation as the road, where there currently is no curb and gutter, like this example on Papipi Road in Eva Beach. And we're looking at raised sidewalks too, where there is curb and gutter. There's often these rolled curbs, like this example on Waipahū Street. So we'll look to continue that. We also in our proposal are shared use paths. These can look a lot like sidewalks, but they need to be 8 feet wide or greater. And they provide enough space for people to walk side by side and for bikes to pass each other too. We're also looking at raised crosswalks, specifically in one location. These can help reduce vehicle speeds down to 15 to 20 miles per hour. Curb ramps we're looking to install at any existing crosswalks, as well as any new proposed crosswalks. Curb extensions, this example is floating curb extensions that help with drainage. That one's in Chicago. But these help to reduce the length of a pedestrian crossing and make pedestrians more visible when they're looking across the street. They also help slow cars down by forcing them into more of a 90-degree turn. We're looking at marking new crosswalks in certain locations, as well as providing a space to plant new street trees, even a landscape buffer that possibly after our project is developed, we can work with other agencies to go back in and plant trees. So there are some design challenges available right of way, as I mentioned before. There are some constrained areas where trade-offs will need to be made. We're not looking to acquire any new land, so we need to work within our means. There are also above and below ground utilities. We're not looking to relocate utility poles, so we need to work around them, like this example on Waipahū Street. There are also drainage considerations and ensuring that when it does rain, we don't create ponding situations in our streets. And we also need to acknowledge on-street parking needs. We know there are multi-generational families that may not have enough off-street parking, and so we need to ensure that we balance those needs too. So we've drafted some preliminary concepts, which we posted on our website for community input, and I'll have the link later on for that. Each concept provides a few different options of what the street could look like. So we encourage you to review it and let us know what you like best. Each segment of the street has a few different alternatives, and we'll go through that quickly now. So from Leo Wahine to Honowai Street, there are already sidewalks on both sides of the street for the majority of the section. So that's what's highlighted in yellow on the screen. So we're looking at either a 5-foot wide sidewalk or an 8-foot wide shared use path on the south side of the street. That's the green dotted line. Having an 8-foot wide path would mean that on-street parking only fits on one side of the street, whereas the 5-foot wide sidewalk would ensure parking on both. Also at the intersection of Leo Wahine and Waipahū Street, we're looking at curb extensions, and that's the gray area that's already painted out there, but kind of making that permanent with concrete. So if we move to Honowai Street, between Honowai Street and Waikele Road, we're looking to continue the shared use path on the south side of the street. That's the green dotted line, and install the missing sidewalk on the north side of the street, which is the orange dotted line top. There are a few different options for this D section on the left. They are an 8-foot wide path on the south side with a 5-foot wide sidewalk on the north side, space for trees to be planted, and no on-street parking. The second option is 5-foot wide sidewalk on the south side, 6-foot wide sidewalk on the north side, no space for trees, on-street parking on one side. And the third is an 8-foot wide sidewalk on the south side, 6-foot wide sidewalk on the north side, no space for trees, and on-street parking on one side of the street. And if we move over to Omoki'i Street, we did receive a request from Councilmember Tulva's office for a raised crosswalk. He noted there were community concerns about cars not yielding and it feeling unsafe. And so our proposal includes a raised crosswalk at this existing crosswalk. The speed data we collected here did suggest speeding issues and cars not stopping for pedestrians. And we're also looking to install new sidewalks on the south side of the street, connecting the Waipahū Elementary School parking lot driveway. So that's the orange dotted line. If we move to Honowai Street, at the intersection of Honowai and Ho'ai'ai, we're looking to add concrete curb extensions and a pedestrian refuge island. Similar to what's painted out there right now, just making that more permanent with concrete. On Honowai Street, we're looking to install a sidewalk on the southern side of the street. The first option proposes a 6-foot wide sidewalk, while the second option proposes a 4.5-foot wide sidewalk with enough space for trees to be planted in the future. And continuing down Honowai Street, continuing that sidewalk on the south side. We will continue that sidewalk all the way down to Waipahū Street, as well as including floating curb extensions at the intersection corners to ensure cars don't park too close to the intersection and impede pedestrian and vehicle visibility. And so we need your input to make sure that the project responds to the needs of all roadway users in the community. As mentioned, we've posted these concepts online for your review and for your feedback. We're also open to having an additional standalone meeting if that's of interest to the board to go over the design in more detail. In this timeline here, we are at the beginning stages of our community outreach and feedback part of the timeline. We've already collected data. We have developed these preliminary concepts and looking for your feedback to eventually refine the concepts and complete the plans. And thank you very much for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions. This QR code will take you to our website where the plans are located, as well as more information on other Waipahū transportation projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, board members? Board member Chang?
Thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple of questions. I noticed that this falls under the Department of Transportation Services. There was a project that was supposed to be identical to this that was done on Mahoi Street, and that has not started yet. So is this a similar plan to that? And when is Mahoi going if this is going?
Yes, our transportation engineering division is in charge of the Mahoi Street project, but I did get a status update from them before coming. So it's going to be out to rebid in summer 2026. They actually bid it out for construction last year, and the bids all came in very high, I think around double. And so they need to rebid this summer and hopefully go out for construction late next year.
And so the hope is that now it's going to be cheaper with the way that the economy is?
I'm not sure how they adjusted there, or if they had to adjust scope or find new funding or.
That doesn't make sense, but okay.
But I can ask and then get back to
Yeah,
you.
that would be great. The other thing is that this is funded by federal funding. Has that funding been secured? And with the current state of our federal government, it probably is not going to be funded by them. Do you have a contingency plan, and do you have a contingency fund to keep this project going so that we don't have ripped up sidewalks and ripped up streets and no way to fix it?
Yes, so our design has been secured. So the design funding, all of our federal funding is 80% federal and 20% local match is required. Design is secured for construction. We are in the statewide transportation improvement program, so it's planned for federal funding in the future. But we have used discretionary grant funding. We've gotten and competed with other cities and counties for funding is another option, but so far we're hopeful that we can also get construction funding.
Okay, my recommendation would be not to be too hopeful on that with the current state of our administration. You guys really need to start looking at other sources of funding because he doesn't want to pay for anything, it seems. That's all.
Thank you, Board Member Andrade. Go ahead.
Quick question. Why did it start where you're starting it and not where August Orange School is? Because that's all unimproved sidewalks from where August Orange School is all the way into the S-turn of Waipahū Street and then to Waipahū Elementary. So my question is, August Orange School has had a problem for ages now as far as unimproved sidewalks, kids crossing that intersection. Paiva Street to Farrington Highway is another problem, big problem. Accidents that happen in that stretch from Waipahū Street going to Farrington Highway. And that has been issues that have been brought up for years now, accidents that has happened, in that area. Unimproved sidewalks, I mean, what are you going to do about that? There's not enough room between the unimproved sidewalk and the homes near Honowai. I live there. I live above that area, but I lived on Honowai, and there's not enough room for what you folks are talking about. So you're going to tell the homeowners that they got to give up some of their property on Waipahū Street going up Honowai? Is that it?
No, the right of way does have enough space. So there's at least 45-foot right of way and is the most.
Have you seen them driving on that street? I drive that street every single morning. For as long as I've been driving, I've been on that street. So it doesn't seem like you have enough room from Honowai to Ho'ai'ai. Ho'ai'ai has improved. They have sidewalks. But those homes from Waipio access, is that Waipio? Waikele? Yeah, Waipio, right? That intersection from Waipahū Elementary School. Where do you find room when you don't even have a sidewalk there and the homeowners have the garages right up to that road?
I can send you.
I'm just curious because I see it every day, and so I'm really curious about, when they did that stoplight on Honowai, that stoplight, Honowai and Waipahū Street, is right next to that homeowner's house. So I'm just curious to see what are you guys are going to do, and also why you folks are not hitting August Orange School, Paiva Street, because that has been more of a problem than Honowai and Waipahū Street.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll bring that back to the team for sure. I know that portion is also identified in our pedestrian plan. It is a tier 2, I believe, whereas this section of road was a tier 1. So part of our initial kind of work on the project was determining kind of where our extents lie and how far down Waipahū Street.
So you folks didn't think about going that way first and then coming into closer to Honowai? You folks started from another area? I mean,
we started on the tier 1 area, so the highest priority side of Waipahū Street.
Okay.
But, yep, good point.
Thank you. Any further questions, board members to my right? Board members to my left? Go ahead, board member.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm not sure if you did this in the past, but maybe it might be helpful for board members to understand this a little bit more, especially with the community. Would it be possible to maybe organize a walk audit to go through those areas?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. We did a walk audit with our team and Councilmember Tulba's staff, probably at least 8 months ago now it was. But that's a great idea, and we'd be open to doing that with the wider community.
Yeah, I mean, in this particular case, what might be helpful is maybe publish an opportunity for the community in general, as well as the board, to do a walk audit. That way, everybody can kind of go through it personally and collect feedback right there on the ground, no pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Board Member Tumaga?
Yes, I have a question. On your slides, you have several options. My question is, what is the criteria in deciding in selecting a particular option? You have like option one, option two, sidewalks, landscaping. I mean, what is the criteria? What's going to make the final decision in selecting a particular option?
Yeah, in general, option one is the most preferred option from our side, but we want to hear from the community, from you, of what you do prioritize, whether it's landscaping or even lighting, or if parking is a need in certain sections. Going to the community and seeing what the highest need is.
So I guess my follow-up with Board Member DeGarcia, I think you guys need to have it open to the public if that's going to be your criteria, because if the public is not aware of it, who's going to make the decision? So yes, it needs to be open to the public to say, hey, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do in your area, and especially concerns with Board Member Andrade on Hanawai Street, where I know where she's talking about, there's no room to even make a sidewalk. So those are the concerns that your team needs to bring up and also open up to the public. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Last one. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is real simple. When did this project start? I heard you say that at the beginning of your presentation.
Yeah, the whole project, so the package of 6 different communities, we began design last fall, so about a year ago now. But Waipahū, we started looking at design around 8 months ago, or last spring, late winter.
Okay, so because this seems like how I say, similar situation in Waipio Gentry. I'm looking at my Google Maps over here. On Waipio Uka Street, from Camp Highway up to Lumikula Street. We do have parking on that street, also bicycle, and a walkway path as well. My concern, coming from Waipio Gentry, is the maintenance. The road lines like that, it's all decaying like that. Is that part of that project as well?
Well, part of this project, we wanted to ensure that everything we built was long-lasting. So we're only using concrete. We're not using asphalt paths or walkways. And so the goal is to really reduce the amount of maintenance that is needed. Even for tree plantings, we're working together with the Department of Parks and Recreation, Division of Urban Forestry, to see kind of what would be low maintenance and would be possible out there, knowing the challenges that other communities have.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for sharing with us this information. I invite all the board members, as well as our audience and those watching, any concerns or wanted to provide input, please visit the honolulu.gov/complete-streets/ia-pearl-city-waipau for more involvement, input. I guess this is the beginning, right? It's not secured yet, or it haven't started yet, the actual project. So there's still time. Again, board members, I invite you to participate as much as we can for this project in our community. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Our elective officials, first off, we have Dr. Babcock, Mayor's representative.
Yeah, good evening, board members. Roger Babcock, Department of Environmental Services. The mayor's newsletter for this month is out, and there's lots of interesting information in there. I believe that's available to all you folks online. I have some follow-ups from questions that came up last month. First one was about traffic study follow-up. The request was regarding speeding between Moku'ola Street and Waipahū Street. That was supposed to be completed by the end of August. And so the response came from Department of Transportation Services, DTS. It says a review of the area's traffic collision history over the past 3 years found a couple of incidents at Waipahū Street, motorists running the red light and colliding into Moku'ola Street motorists. As such, DTS Transportation Technology Division has been requested to look into extending the all red phase to create a greater separation between the opposing traffic movements on Waipahū and Moku'ola streets, and to check the sight distance to the westbound traffic signal heads. So it sounds like they've completed their analysis and they're planning to change the light duration sequence. The second question came about housing units clarification. How many housing units are planned for the Royal Kunia Park and Ride lot? As this would be, but a developer hasn't been selected yet. However, the preliminary analysis that was done shows that the site could accommodate between 100 up to 150 to 200 units. The third question, and with response, has to do with security concerns with respect to the Filipino United Church of Christ. With concerns about homeless individuals climbing over the fence, despite recent security improvements. And that's the, several board members suggested calling HPD and recommended increased HPD patrol. So Honolulu Police Department did respond. They said that on Thursday, October 9th at 10 a.m., District 3 officers checked the front of the property on Hiapo Street and were unable to access it due to the entry gate being closed and locked. Officers then proceeded to the rear of the property on the H1 East Freeway to conduct further checks and did not observe any homeless individuals, nor did any portion of the property fence appear tampered with. The officers encouraged the constituents to call 911 to report any suspicious activities. So that is the, those are the responses from last month, and I'd be happy to take any questions. And I also will be following up from the question earlier about with DFM to see what they're going to be able to do in Upper Kapuna Loop Village Park area about the illegal dumping of disposal of oil in the area. But happy to take any other questions that you have.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. Do you have any questions for our mayor's representative from our board members? To my right, go ahead, board member Cheryl.
Thanks for following up on the, I was the one that had the question about how many units the city was looking at for the Royal Kunia Park and Ride site. The related question was, if you build 200 up to 200 units, how large will the structures be? And how much parking will you provide? Or will you tell the people if they want to park, will you go park in the park and ride? Because it's not that heavily used right now, but that's because the transit was never built until recently when it first opened. So all that time, park and ride was just sitting, there for the bus riders to use, but it's not been, fully used. The second question is, I heard with Skyline, and they mentioned it before when OTS was here. one of the ideas was to encourage UH students to take the train to help get more cars off the road. But one of the problems is for the students, when they end up at the station where you can catch a bus to UH, you have to wait an hour. So it seems to me that that's not very encouraging for the students to want to ride the train, although, more of them are starting to maybe try to use it. But if you want to encourage them to use it, it seems to me that the buses that take them up to campus, have to come a little faster than waiting another hour at the train stop for a bus.
Yeah, thanks for those questions. We'll have to check on what's planned for the Kunia Park and Ride. I'm not sure if they've made a presentation to this board yet. I know some preliminary work has been done by the city, and they're going to put out a request for proposals for a developer to come in with a proposal. My understanding is it would probably be senior housing, and that whatever the parking requirements would be for that type of housing, that they would be required, to provide that housing on that property and not be able to use the park and ride unless the park and ride is somehow changed in its size. With respect to the skyline, I can speak about what I know, and I will get additional information. My understanding is that the Department of Transportation Services, the bus, has created several new routes that originate at the Middle Street Multimodal Transit Center, and one of them is called the U line, which is a direct bus from the Multimodal Transit Center at Middle Street to the UH Manoa campus with no stops. I believe they said that it would run every 10 minutes, but I am not sure of that. But I am pretty sure it's not only every hour. It's at something much more frequent than that, and express between the two to make it a feasible transportation option for the students. But I will be sure to check with DTS and see when that service is starting, if it hasn't already started, and what the frequency is.
This came from DTS. They mentioned that. And I asked that question when they were here. And then that was mentioned by that UH student that took Skyline after it opened. That they had to wait that long, 1 hour.
So they said it only runs every hour?
Yes.
Okay. I'll verify that with them. I heard a different number, but I'll check.
Thank you. Dr. Babcock, can you also check on our resident concern who, in regards to the 433 in the Waipahū Gentry area,
Yeah.
if they would offer any other schedule than the Sunday schedule? That was your concern, right? Starting service in Waipahū Sunday. If you can check on that as well. Yeah, thank you, sir. Any
yeah.
concerns? Go ahead. Board Member
One
Maurice.
question pertaining to the skyline. My son works at Pearl Harbor. So I was happy to hear that the rail was going to Pearl Harbor and then to the airport to Middle Street. So I thought that, we could get traffic off the street by the workers at Pearl Harbor can catch a rail to go to work, and they can kind of work out to shuttle those workers to their work sites. But he said the skyline is too late. I mean, because they go to work like 6:30 in the morning. And so they said that it doesn't help them. But that would be one way of getting, because I know at Pearl Harbor, there's a lot of traffic once they get off work. There's a lot of cars that go in and out. So if the city can look into trying to accommodate the Pearl Harbor workers, the civilian workers, it would help us with traffic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'll verify again with DTS. My understanding is the train operates from 4:30 a.m. till 10 p.m. 7 days a week.
Correct. Thank you. Any further questions for the mayor's representative? I don't have a question, but I also wanted to share my concern with the skyline. I got a chance to ride it, and thank you to the city, mayor, our council members for the free ride weekend. Actually, I rode it before the free ride weekend, but it's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to catching Skyline next month when I go to the airport. So thank you. Please share that to the mayor, especially the director of DTS. Yeah. Next, we have, thank you, doctor. We have our council member, or representative, from council member Matt Wire's office. Kelly.
Aloha Chair and members of the board, Kelly Anaya from Councilmember Matt Wire's office. Just have a couple of legislative updates. Councilmember did recently introduce Bill 56 and Resolution 25228. These would provide the community a stronger voice in the land use process. Oftentimes, residents feel left out of the decision-making process that directly impact their community. And by simplifying and clarifying the requirements for public notice, we can hopefully reduce conflict. This bill and resolution would require applicants for minor special management area permits, or SMAs, as well as conditional use permits, or CUPs, to present to the neighborhood board. The goal of the measure is to increase community engagement early on and to help prevent future land use violations and minimize appeals at the Zoning Board of Appeals. Both the bill and the resolution are currently pending in the zoning committee. Councilmember also introduced resolution 25268, which would urge the Department of Planning and Permitting to create a database of discretionary permit applications. Minor CUPs and SMAs would be included. DPP currently posts larger permit applications, but some minor permits are not included, even though they can have a meaningful impact on the community. The resolution was referred to the Zoning and Planning Committee, but has not been scheduled for a hearing yet. Also wanted to highlight the Waikele Elementary Annual Career and College Fair. Councilmember was honored to participate in that. It was the 8th annual. It was great to see the kids dreaming big and learning about some of the amazing career paths that are ahead of them. Councilmember and some of our staff also participated in the Skyline Ride as well. The Ho'ai Station Farmers Market, excuse me, held its first food hub at the Skyline stations. This alongside with the Makeke Mahi'ai Farmers Market. They bring fresh food from local communities to our communities, excuse me. And it's a partnership between the city, DR Horton, and the food bank, and Elipayo Social Services. And also we were honored to participate with the Cunha Village and HFD tour. As you guys are aware, the wildfires in August, right next to the Cunha Village camp. So we're working, with Cunha Village Camp and HFD to try to help minimize the risk. And lastly, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Councilmember was honored to recognize the Domestic Violence Action Center, or DVAC, at our full council earlier this month. As you may know, DVAC works to break the cycles of violence and promote healthy relationships. As a former domestic violence prosecutor, Councilmember has seen firsthand how DVAC has changed the lives, and wanted to recognize and thank them for their outstanding contribution to the community. That's about it. And just from last month's meeting, to update you about the park and ride maintenance, I was out there last week, Thursday, and it has not been done yet. So hopefully it'll be done shortly.
Thank you. Yes, I drive there nightly, daily, everything. Thank you. So looking forward to that getting done. Do you have any questions for Council Member Matt Wire's office? Go ahead, Board Member DeGracia.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for the legislative updates. I wanted to mention, and if you could relay this to a council member, he did a really awesome thing in terms of developing and passing legislation which would enable the county to enforce stricter regulations with regards to flavored tobacco, but we're still waiting to get home rule restored to the city. So I'm wondering if it might be possible to perhaps, in advance of this upcoming state legislative session, to maybe, circulate like a letter of support among city council members and to maybe present that to the legislature and say, hey, pass a bill regarding preemption and give us a home rule to essentially protect our keiki and enforce a flavor ban at the county level.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments for Councilmember Matt Wire's office? Hearing none. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Councilmember Valley Okimoto.
Aloha, good evening, Chair. Sorry, I didn't realize it was so loud. Members of the board and members of the community, I'm Councilmember Valakino Okimoto. Happy to be here representing District 8. All of you should have in front of you my written report. So if I will just quickly go over a few things. Just again, to give you a legislative update, we did have committee hearings, I believe, last week, and our next full council meeting will be on November 5th. Some bills that I wanted to just address also in the report is Bill 66. This is back from 2024. It provides an exemption from the county motor vehicle registration fee for veterans 65 years of age or older who are not dishonorably discharged. And this is actually introduced by Councilmember Toba and Tupola. So maybe he'll expound on that more. That is, it will go into, I think it's in our, Augie, where is it now? Your bill, Augie. Councilmember Toba. Bill 62, did it go through? I can't remember, I'm sorry. I left the veterans, it did, okay. Signed next week, okay. It went through full council and it will be signed by the mayor next week. Thank you, Councilmember Toba. Bill 34 is actually still, we're working on that. That's introduced by Councilmember Kiaina. And this is to address the different tiers for residential A property, real property tax. So you have, there's a little diagram in here of the tiers right now in its current state. Homes that are at the assessed at the $1 million level is taxed at a higher rate. So we have, this bill introduces it and it will raise the level of the property values. In that way, there will be 3 different tiers that will be taxed at. So this is, it'll, I believe we're going to go through its last reading on November 5th. I'm getting my dates mixed up. So if I have that wrong, I will send a message to chair. But we are moving along. I wasn't here last month, but we did have Council Chair Waters and I actually co-introduced and passed 2 bills, 49 and 50, and that was to offer real property tax exemptions for Kupuna and then for all. And those actually went through the full council and the mayor has signed it into law. So those are in ordinance at this time. I did have in here that if you would like to get my newsletter, you can scan this QR code and sign up to be on my email list. Because of cost prohibitions, we don't get to email this. So you guys get to see it every month, but not everybody in the community can. So if you would like to receive my newsletter through email, you can scan this QR code and please share it with your residents or your neighbors or any of your constituents in this area who would like to receive my written report every month. My team does a really good job with it. Here are just a couple of District 8 Halloween activities in Waipahū. There is a haunted plantation at the Waipahū. The address is in here, I'm sorry. And then the Pumpkin Fall Festival is also in Farrington Highway on Kapolei. If you would like to see any other events that are happening outside of the community, that's also in my newsletter. I wanted to just give a couple of updates. I did hear the constituent who came up front earlier, and I was able to contact the Deputy Director of DTS while we were sitting here regarding that bus route 433, and I talked to Director Babcock already that my office will take over. This was something that was, I think the department actually studied this route last year, but the department is willing to look at it again. From the information he gave me, the bus does run on Sundays. However, on Sundays, it does not go through Waipio Gentry or Costco. It only goes through Waikele and Waipahū. It was initially created to serve Kaiser, but because Kaiser doesn't go, is not open on Sundays, that's why they didn't have it operate through Waipio. However, the department is willing to look at it and see the cost and the labor that will be entailed in it and get a price point. So my office will be submitting a riser and we will follow up to see if that can happen. If not, then the department will tell us reasons why. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I know in the beginning of the meeting, we also had a constituent with the email about the park slide. So that, again, I think in her email, she mentioned that it's on back order, but they're trying to get it by November, December. We will follow up. From what we understood, they were having some issues with getting the funding to get it, and I guess to get it installed. So we'll follow up to see the status of that and get back to.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we didn't find that email, but I will have my office go look for her specifically. And I just wanted to give a little PSA. If you guys are really the boots on the ground for us, in the community. So if you have any ideas for what we should be looking at, every 10 years, the Charter Commission is formed, and they do have a deadline of November 7th. If you would like to submit any suggestions to be put onto the charter, on the ballot for the charter to be amended or adjusted, you can do so up until November 7th, and you can go to the website www.honolulucitycouncil.org/charter-commission. If you go to the Honolulu City Council website, you should be able to find it. But again, I can text it to the chair if you want to get that from him. And I'm trying to think if I had any other notes. I did have a couple of just CIP projects. There's a Pupu'ole Street mini park play equipment that I was told about. That project is being reviewed, and a Central Oahu ambulance facility expansion. It also is the scope and development consultant procurement process is ongoing. So that's just a little quick update of things happening in the community. And I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Council Member, and thank you for addressing our citizen here, Brandon's issue, as well as Shaylin's issue. Board members, do you have any questions or comments for Council Member Okimoto from my right? How about from my left? Hearing none, thank you so much for joining us.
Everybody, hopefully you have a safe Halloween with your keiki.
You too. Council Member Toba.
Chair, neighborhood board, everyone in the building, and everyone watching online. Councilmember Augie Toba, this weekend, Saturday, October 25th, we have a big cleanup at Hawaii Plantation Village and the Waipahū Cultural Gardens. We invite everyone, if you want to come out and help clear out the area, that would be awesome. You can see my flyer in the bulletin. Neighborhood Security Watch, in the last couple of weeks, we've put together two neighborhood security watches, Jack Hall, as well, Aniani Place. So if you're watching and you're encouraged to want to help be the eyes of your community, please get a hold of my office. We'd love to come out and make our communities a safer and better place. Update on Kahua Nui Street. There's complaints of close calls at the intersection of Kahua Nui Street and Waipahū Street. DTS performed traffic studies. Speeding around found on straightaway portion of the street between Kahuhili Street and Paiva Street. DTS is proposing speed humps. We suggest the board take a position by a resolution. I did leave the packet there so that we can get that moving, so that we can get the speed humps at these stops as quickly as possible. Also, if anyone would like to meet with me Mondays and Fridays, you can reach my office at 808-768-5009. Love to sit down and talk more about how we can find good solutions for Waipahū. With that, I'll take questions.
Board members, any questions for Councilmember Toba? Board members to my right? Board members to my left? Hearing none, thank you, Thank you, council member. All right, next on our agenda. Let's see. Do I have governor's representative? I don't see governor's representative. I know Senator Kidani as well as Senator Aquino did provide their report. Anybody from their office representative here? Seeing none. I have State Representative Cory Chun.
Evening, Chair, board members, Cory Chun, State House District 35. You have my report, so I'll kind of just stand on my report because I know it's getting late. So I'll address the questions that came up earlier in the meeting. The first one regarding the Crestview Park siren. So HAIMA, the Emergency Management Agency, was aware of malfunctioning siren. It was on the list to have maintenance done on October 10th. And so they performed maintenance. It should be working for the next siren test. But if it still has issues, please let me know. With regards to power outages, I know this came up last year. If it is in the Crestview, Waipahū Gentry area, that was part of HECO's Fast Switch program, which is part of their wildfire mitigation plan that they have to implement regarding wildfire safety. So their outage, their number is 1-855-304-1212. That's their outage line. They also post their outages. That's their phone number, but their outages are also posted online. If for any power outage, it's very crucial, and I mentioned this last time, that you note the date and time of the outages, because last year when there were multiple, I think there was 3, they were caused by actually different reasons. And HECO has to investigate all of the reasons why the outages happened, but 2 of them were because of the fast switch, which they ended up turning off. Because what happened previously is that when they did their investigation, the power lines in Waipahū Gentry and Crestview were not insulated and just buried underground. And so because of that, they were causing these abnormal trips to happen. The other one was due to actually another issue with a transformer. So if you experience a power outage, please make sure you note the date and time so that they can actually investigate. And I'll be happy to do that for you folks, unless, remember, you actually know the date and times of those power outages. No, okay. And then I can address the issue with the mural painting this weekend. From what I know, this is not my project. It's a collaboration between the Department of Transportation and the Department of Education. When I reached out to the Department of Transportation asking them, they said, pursuant to what they always do, they put out the traffic notifications 2 weeks before, so the traffic signs were up, and they did release the press release. From what I gather from they explained to me, it's because there's 3 different high schools that are being coordinated. There's 100 students that are going to be there, and it's a safety issue. They are planning on doing it on the weekend to avoid, traffic concerns, but it's kind of unavoidable when you're going to have 100 students trying to paint, and there's a very long stretch. So the plan is like one high school is going to take one portion from Waipahū Uka down to Lumi Aina, and then the other portion Lumi Aina down to Lumi A'a, and the other portion from Lumi A'a down to Waipahū Street, which if you've driven by there, it's a really long wall, so it's going to take a while. But they are working with 3 different artists, so some of the sketches should be done. With regards to the bus stops, I don't know the answer to that. That's a DTS question. I asked the Department of Transportation. They're going to get back to me tomorrow, so I can send you the response for that. I do know they will have special duty police officers the whole time of the shutdown to make sure that they can help with traffic issues. And I guess with that, I'll end my report and take any further questions.
Thank you. Thank you for providing that. Just the roads will be it will be open, not totally shut down, right? It's going to be one lane.
So the northbound lanes will be closed and they're gonna contraflow on the southbound lane. So they're gonna split the
Got it.
southbound lane to northbound and southbound.
Got
And
it.
then they're gonna do a detour from Lumiaina to Lumikula Street.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for providing that. Any other questions for Representative Chun, board members? Any questions? Hearing none. Oh, go ahead.
Just for clarification, so you said the power outages are like a wildfire prevention thing for HECO that they're testing out, or like it's like a. Could you go over that?
That was what was the issue last year. So if that area is still facing outages again, I would highly recommend anybody to take down the date and time, because it really is, as I've learned last year, dependent on each situation and what causes it. And so a few of them were because of that fast switch system, but another one was actually a down tree. So, you know, it could vary on, and also the duration. But the issue with the fast trip is it's really a more sensitive kind of off switch. And what they're supposed to do is say, a tree hits a line, it'll cut off the power, and they can't turn it on until they make sure that it's safe because of, obviously what happened in Lahaina. But because of the way the power lines were put in underground without insulation, it was actually causing those trips. And that was what they determined last year.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Representative Chun. Next, we have Representative Lamasao.
Thank you, Chair, board members, and congratulations to our new board members and for continuing to serve our Waipahū community. Rochelle Lamasao here for House District 36. I do want to just stand on my report because I know it's getting late, but I do want to also emphasize on my report in the intro statement about families are impacted by the federal shutdown. The DOE has provided resources to those families impacted, and they can apply for free school meals. And there are, if you go to this link, there are other listed resources available to them. So it's hawaiipublicsschools.org/families-impacted-apply-for-free-school meals / it's on my report. But if you go on the Department of Education website, you can certainly find it on their main page. But I do want to repeat that for the people online, so because they can't see the report. So if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them at this moment.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions for our Representative Lamasao? Board members, any question? Go ahead, sir. Correct.
East of Waipahū, November 1st, 4 to 9 p.m. at August Ahrens Elementary School. So bring your family. It's free for everyone. There will be a lot of free family games for your keiki. So please stop by as well. That's
Thank you. Yeah, we'll make that announcement again towards the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative La Chica.
Aloha Chair, members of the board and the community, Tosa Lobandan here on behalf of Representative La Chica. Again, she is unable to make it. She is in San Jose for the NCSL Jobs / Workforce Conference, so very important. However, she sends her warmest alohas for tonight's meeting. I will also stand on our written report. You all have it available in front of you. However, I did want to note a few things. First, for the bus issue for 433, I did let Council Member Okimoto know that we did submit a riser. So that has been submitted, and we will be following up with PUA. Shout out to PUA. Thank you for helping us. However, that probably will take a few more weeks. So just stay tuned for updates. Additionally, I did want to note that we have our last event for the Filipino American History Month Festival. It will be on Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. at Capitol Modern. It is featuring local artists, shops, food, and a special free concert from Grammy Award nominee and 2025 Tiny Desk Award winner Ruby Ibarra. If you are interested, again, these tickets are completely free and it's going to be an amazing event. You can visit phillyrooted.com to claim your free tickets and get more information. Lastly, if you haven't already yet, please complete the 2026 pre-legislative survey. We'll be sharing the results in November, December, but we are asking everyone to please share their ideas for any possible legislation ideas that you might have. And you can do that by visiting reptrishlachica.com. That is it for me. I can take back any questions.
Do I have any questions for Representative La Chica's office? Board members, any questions? Hearing none, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too. Let's see, anybody here from Representative Perrick's office? Okay, not here. U.S. Congressman Representative Case office, I don't see Mr. Garcia. How about a representative from U.S. Representative Tokura's office? Hearing none. Do we have Board of Water Supply here? Seeing none as well. Any reports from board members, attendance at other meetings, board members? None. Okay. Finally, on our announcements, just a couple. I do have a couple announcements. Please bear with me, board members. I do have a request from, is that the commission, the NCO, in regards to if we wanted to participate in the Kapolei City Lights, as well as Kapolei Parade. So, do I have any interest, board members? Yes, no, hearing none. Yes, board member Dominic, you want to
I mean,
participate
if you
and
participate, that would be a good thing. It's good to outreach to the community, I think. So
I'll share the information, but I guess we would need a response to them by tomorrow. So, okay. Let's see. Announcement. Yes, Taste of Waipahū, November 1st. As mentioned, 4 to 9, August errands. Hope everyone can join, especially those watching on Olelo. And then our next regular board meeting, board members and audience and those watching, please note our board meeting for November is going to be on the Thursday due to the Thanksgiving holiday, which that date is November 20th. So please don't come here on November 27th because I'll be home sleeping. Just kidding. We'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. You can watch the rebroadcast of the Waipahū Neighborhood Board on Channel 49 every second Saturday, 9 p.m. and every fourth Sunday at 9 a.m. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, board members.